Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining to Learn with Google, March 2025 edition, where we're talking today about igniting creativity with Google Vids. And I should point out this is actually kind of version 2.0 of this. We did do this session this afternoon with a live group, and for some reason the recorder wasn't working. So we're doing it again a second time. I'm doing it again a second time and recording it this time. So if you're in the session, this might look slightly different, but hopefully covers most of the same things. But anyway, thanks for watching. Before we get started, just want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands and honour their continuing connection to land, water and skies, and recognise the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities' strength and resilience in the face of colonisation. And over on the other side of the ditch, if my friend Steve was here, he would read the Maori part of that, but I am not even going to attempt it. I'm just going to say that we acknowledge and respect the Naiwi Maori as tangata whanua of Aotearoa, and we're committed to upholding the partnership of the Treaty of Waitangi for our cousins across the ditch. My name is Chris Betcher. I work for myself in a little company called Crux Learning. I was at Google for 6 years until recently, but I'm now doing a little bit of freelancing, including this job that we're doing now, this project for Google. I am normally joined by my friend Steve Smith, who is the country manager for New Zealand for Google for Education, but Steve is currently at Christchurch Airport on a plane, I believe. So you're stuck with me. Today's agenda, we're going to be just talking about getting creative with Google Vids and what that is. We'll do our usual what's new with Google, and then we'll finish off with any questions at the end. Well, there won't be any questions because there's no people here. That's okay. All right, just a reminder, if you are watching the recording, which I guess is the only way you can be watching this, you're probably watching it on YouTube. It greatly helps if you can like, subscribe, comment, share, just like all of those things help build our channel. But yes, if you watch this and you'd like to see more in the future, hit that subscribe button, and the like is always appreciated as well. All right, we're talking about Google Vids. Google Vids is a relatively new tool from Google. It came out a little over a year ago in a sort of beta form, but it was publicly released, kind of slowly released over, so I guess 6 to 8 months ago. But it's a video editing tool that's part of Workspace, and we're going to dive in and check out what that's all about. Vids pitches itself as easy video creation for teaching and learning, and hopefully as we go through this, you'll see it is actually pretty easy and it has a lot of applications in teaching and learning. There's tons of ways video can support teaching and learning, from enhancing student engagement, creating connections between sort of knowledge areas that students are learning about, encouraging students to be creative and make things. That's always a big one for me. And the ability to accommodate all learning styles. So tons of advantages in how video particularly can support teaching and learning. And the nice thing about Vids is that it's integrated directly with Google Workspace. So all of those things you love about Workspace already, the fact that it's intuitive and easy to use, it's easy to get started, you get to collaborate in real time, telling those immersive stories, and the fact that it's private and secure. The fact that it's part of Workspace is kind of a big deal. I know there are other products that can make video, obviously. The neat thing about having it integrated with Workspace is you've already done all the privacy and security assessments because it's part of Workspace. It's just part of the suite of tools you're already using, so you know how it works. There's just a ton of advantages of it being integrated directly into Workspace. And of course, you're not paying for a third-party tool because it's included in what you've already got. Lots of ways that your school community can use Vids, and I won't dwell on this point, but if you're a teacher or a professor, you know, the ability to create those instructional videos and pre-record lessons and sort of, you know, do those class recaps, even parent communication. There's tons of ways teachers can use this. If you're a student, obviously, being able to do your project presentations, video essays, video book reports, class introductions, and just generally sort of that digital storytelling idea. Lots of ways students can use video. And, you know, if you're an educational leader or administrator, things like, you know, professional development sessions or school policies, you know, making your school policies a little bit more easier to understand by producing video versions of them, promotional materials for the school, parent newsletters, right? So as you can see, there's lots of ways you can use Vids. it's not a one size fits all, and everyone's going to come up with a different way of using it. Kind of already mentioned that it's part of Workspace, but it's this missing piece down here, the creativity piece. Workspace has always been really good at the whole helping you write, visualize, organize, and connect. But now we've got this extra piece, which is all about creativity. My background is as a digital media teacher, so I taught sort of film and multimedia and design for many years, and I loved working with Google Workspace or Google Apps, as it used to be called, or G Suite. But the missing piece for me is that it never had anything for making video content. So that was always a missing piece, and now it does. So I was very excited when this came out. Let's dive in and do a little demo of Google Vids, and I'll show you a little bit about how it works. So I'm just going to switch to this tab here. So I've just gone into my Google Drive here, and the new button up in the top corner, where you would normally click to start a new Google Doc or Sheets or Slides or whatever, you'll see now that there's a Google Vids option in there as well. So Vids is just like all the other file types inside Google Drive. In fact, you can see over here of actually these two files here, the sample vid and journey through, they are in fact Vids files, and they just live in your Drive like your Google Docs and Sheets and Slides and Sites and everything else. So very integrated. If I click on Google Vids and say, yes, let's create one, and switch to that tab, you see this is what it opens up with. So it comes up with this welcome screen to start with, and I'll preempt this by saying that if you have the Gemini license, and I'm always a bit wary about saying that because I know there's still a lot of schools who are not paying for Gemini and they don't have that Gemini license, but if you are a school that's using the license for Gemini, there are a few AI features that you get that you don't get in the normal version. But that's okay. You can still do tons with the regular version, don't worry. But if you have the AI license, you'll see there's a button up here that says Help Me Create. So for example, let's just say I click that Help Me Create button and I describe what my video is about. Now, I'm having a little holiday in Japan later this year, so a bit of Japan on the mind at the moment. So we'll do Japanese culture, let's say. So that's what I want to make my video about. Now, when I click the next button, what the AI will do is it'll step in here and it'll generate an outline for a video. So when you teach kids about storyboarding and you talk about the different stages of what they should cover, this is kind of creating a storyboard. It's giving you an idea about what needs to be in here. Now, there's quite a bit of stuff in here. It's generated quite a long collection of things, probably longer than I need. So let's say there's a few things I don't know. Let's say I don't want the pop culture one. I don't want the indie one. That was weird. And I don't want martial arts. Okay, so I can take things out. If I want to change something, I can click on it and just say, I can edit this. So you can make this however you want, and then when you click the next button and choose a theme, let's choose this theme, right? Let's create the draft video. So that is now chugging away in the background there, and it's making your video for you based on that outline that it created. Now, the interesting thing about this is it's created all the different scenes down the bottom here. Just get rid of that. But it's also created a script. So the AI has written a script for each stage of that process. And when you're making this video, now this is kind of a template, right? It's put some things in here. Let's just sort of press the play button and see what it's got. So you can see it's added a little animation to that first one. Then we get a sort of a fade into the next one. We get an introduction slide. We get an overview. It has a nice sort of Ken Burns effect there, pulling in. We move to the next one. It's got traditions. Now, I'll just pause this. Each one of these sections has a script attached to it, right? If I go to another one here, this has a script attached to it, the bit about the tea ceremony. If I go to this one, it has a script attached to it. So the idea, what it's trying to encourage you to do is, first of all, if you don't like that video, you can replace it with a different one, or you can record your own. If there's no video on a slide, so say there, you could add a video or a picture or something to that slide. So this is all editable. But if you want to add the voiceover, You've got the script already made for you. You can obviously come in here and edit that script. You can record it yourself, just speak into your microphone, record your own voice, or you can generate the voiceover. Again, it's an AI feature, got to have the AI license. Let's say I generate the voiceover. I've now got, this is a recent addition to Vids, there's a whole bunch of new voices in here. So if I click on, say, educator.
The voice you select makes a difference in how viewers will respond to your...
Right, you get a little sample of that voice. I kind of like the Persuader. I reckon it sounds like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
The voice you select makes a difference in how viewers will respond to your video. It should fit.
Right, so you can pick the voice you want. So let's do Persuader, and I'll say select. And what it's going to do now, when I say insert into timeline, you can see it's recording down the bottom here. It's generating the voice from this that goes with that. Now, if we hit the play button there,
Uncover the core values that guide Japanese society, shaping its customs and behaviors.
Right, so that's how you can use some of the AI features to help you out here. You can, of course, record it yourself. Now, I'm just going to go back over here to my drive, because I'm kind of aware that for many of you, you won't have that AI license just yet. And so that might be a moot point. So let's talk about how you do it the regular way without the AI assistance. So I'm back in my drive. I'm going to go new, Google Vids, create and share. And so it's created a new one. Let me switch to that tab. So this is where we were a second ago, just exactly the same as you saw before, except now I'm not going to use any of that stuff. I'm just going to close that panel. And this is going to bring me into a nice, clean, new version of Vids with nothing in it. Now, I want you to think about Vids this way. Down the bottom here, you've got this white block, and this is called a scene. And there's a button on the right-hand side there where I can click and add a new scene. So I can click it once, and now I've got 2 scenes, click it twice, now I've got 3 scenes, and so on. So you can add multiple scenes. The easiest way to think about Vids, especially if you're not, you don't have a lot of video production experience, is to think about it like Google Slides. Think about each of these scenes as a slide in Google Slides. The only difference is in a slide, it's kind of a fixed shape and it has no sense of time to it, right? These scenes have a sense of time. So this, by default, these scenes are 5 seconds long. You can see the little 5 in the corner there when I put my mouse in there. Now, they don't have to stay 5 seconds long. You can go to the end there, and you can see as I move my mouse against the blue outline, I can either shorten it or I can lengthen it, and you can see the black box above that is telling you how long, how much time that scene now takes. So it's like a slide, except it's a slide with a time component to it. Now, what that means is if you're used to Google Slides, so for example, let's go over here to these buttons on the side. This is where you get all your media from. And so there's a button here that says stock and web. Let's just go in there. Let's stick with the Japan theme. So I'll click the word, type the word Japan and press enter. And it's going to go and find some resources from the stock library that have something to do with Japan. And it's going to give me videos, stock images, music, stickers, sound effects, GIFs, Google Images. So a whole bunch of things that have to do with whatever I type in this box at the top here. Now let's just, simplicity, let's just pick an image to start with. So I grab an image and I drag it out onto the scene, and I've now got an image on the scene. Remember, think about a scene like a slide, right? It's kind of exactly the same. If I want to resize that, grab it by the corner, move it around. Things like if I want to change the formatting of that, I can put a drop shadow on it. I can recolor it. All of these things you'd be quite familiar with, from slides. It works exactly the same. I don't want to recolor that. Let's get rid of that. Okay, but yeah, that's the concept. Think of it like a slide. Now, the thing that makes it a little bit more advanced than a slide is when you go in here, you've got a whole bunch of videos. You can drag video content on here. So I can drag a video on there like that. And that now loads onto that page as a video. And when I hit the play button down the bottom here, it will play the slide scene for however many seconds I've given it here. So if I click that, you can see now that video in the corner there is going to play as a video. Something to be aware of is this slide here is, well, this scene here is 8 seconds long. That video is 7 seconds long. So it will get to the end and sort of start looping around again. So you'll get 7 seconds plus the first second again. So you probably want to make sure when you're looking at these numbers beside the video here, it's kind of important. You just bear in mind, what length video you're adding on to what length scene, because it's best if they match up a little bit. Okay, so that's how that works. Now, I'm just going to go back to this section again. I'm just going to get rid of that picture by selecting it and pressing delete. And let's go to some more videos. So I'm still here in the stock library, right? I can get videos from other places, but let's look at the stock library for a sec. So if you want to just see videos, just click on the word videos, and now it'll give you a whole big video collection here. So let's say I want to get, let's find a clip here. Let's try this one here, right? So I click that clip and it will add it to the scene. So I'm on the first scene. I got a clip sitting on the scene now. Now, you can move that around. You can treat it like a floating object on the scene. But what's more sort of typical when you're creating video is that the video actually takes up the whole scene, takes up the whole frame. So what you can do is right click on that and say expand video to fill the scene. And when you do that, it fills the scene completely. And now when I hit the play button on that, you'll see that scene will play, right? But it'll fill the whole frame. So let's just do that a couple more times. Let's go to this second scene over here and we'll pick another little clip, maybe, and I don't know what these are. Let's just pick something random, maybe this one. So we'll do that. And I noticed that one was only 5 seconds long, so I might just shorten this frame slightly. Might shorten this one slightly, just so they're nice and neat. And now you see if I start, say, just before the end of that one and hit the play button, I'll go from there, it'll play, and then it'll play the second one. Oops, sorry, you know what I need to do? I need to right click on that. Oops, come on. Right. Getting carried away here. Oh, what's going on? Okay, don't know what I did there. Expand the video to fill the scenes, just like I did before, and that video now fills that whole scene. Let's just do one more. Make a new scene, pick a new clip, something. Let's go with that first one we had. So I'll do that. That moves it from the collection of videos onto the scene, and then I right click on it and say expand that to fill the scene, and now it fills the scene. Now, if I was to play that, I'm getting the first clip plays, then the second clip plays, and then it gets to the end, and then the third clip plays. I'm not sure how this is coming across from you on the recording here. I know sometimes over video calls, the video can be a bit jumpy. It actually looks very smooth for me. So it's as simple as that to put scenes together, right? If you want to change the order of a scene, you can just pick it up and drag it and move it around. So you can move that one to the end there if you'd rather do that. And so they can swap places. If this one's too long, I can grab it by the end and shorten it down a little bit, and so on. So pretty easy to rearrange, move things around. You'll notice between each of those scenes, there's a little transition button. So if I click the transition button, I get a whole bunch of transitions on the side here. Now, most serious filmmakers will tell you that the two transitions you should try and stick to is either none, it's just a straight jump cut, or a dissolve if you're changing locations or time. So you're suggesting a change of location or time. Let's use the dissolve just to show you how that works. So I'll choose dissolve. You'll notice it puts those two little sort of blue ends on the clip to tell you how long the dissolve will merge into each one of those clips. You can change that, by the way. There's a slider here, so you can change how long that goes for. And as you change the duration, it will actually move the clips along the timeline a little bit because that's how they're overlapping. But now if I was to play that, you'll see now when I get to the end of that clip, it will do this sort of merge into the other clip and so on. Let's just do the same thing here. Let's choose a different one. Let's do a push, right? So let's go from here. We've got that clip playing. When it gets to the end, we'll just hit push. It'll push in from the side. So pretty simple to edit video, add transitions, If you want to add some text or anything, so maybe we want to put a title on this first one. Let's go back to the beginning of this first one. There's a text button over on the side here. I can choose text, and I can obviously add like a block of text, same way you would in Google Slides, a title, a subtitle, or a body text. But there's also a whole bunch of examples made down for you as well. So I'll just pick this one here. So I click that. It's going to drop that onto the scene. Let's put that up in the top corner there, maybe. Now, I don't want it to say that, so I'll double click into it here and just edit it. This week in Tokyo, let's just say, right? So you can edit all of those little headlines and speakers, all this stuff down the side here is all editable once you put it on the stage. You can have multiple ones, so if you want to choose a second one, you can do that. You can resize it. Oops, sorry, clicked the wrong thing there. Oops. Click the whole thing. I must have clicked out of it. So maybe it's because I've been in Photoshop for so long, but I'm in the habit of holding the Shift key down when I resize a shape just to make sure it doesn't distort. That does seem to help here, actually. Yeah. Move the whole thing into the corner. Yeah, so you can have multiple things on the slide if you like. When you have those things on the slide, there's a little button here, this little 3 circles is the animation symbol. So if you choose that, you can control animations for that actual block of text. So let's say I want it to slide in from the side. And right now it's entering and exiting, but let's say I want it to, which way? Let's not have it exit. Let's have it just enter, so I can do separate enter and exit. So right now it will enter as a slide in, and it will exit with nothing. It'll just slide in and stay there. And maybe I want that entry to just be a little bit slower, so we'll lengthen that out. And now if I was to play that from the beginning, you see that that just slides in like that. Okay, so go back to the beginning. Okay, there you go. So it slides in. If you don't like the colors, you can click on it and change the colors up here in the top corner, of course, just like you do anything else, right? So lots of editability, really simple, much like Google Slides. The only other thing I want to show you is in terms of other media. So this is a really good one, the one I showed you, the stock media, stock and web imagery, because you've got access to this massive library of images, videos, GIFs, and so on. But if you've got your own stuff, the button below that takes you into your Google Drive. So by choosing your Google Drive, it'll look at either recent, or you can just look in My Drive or shared drives or wherever. And you can also filter by media type as well. So you've got the ability to choose videos or audio. Let's just choose videos. And so it's just filtering down now in my collection to all the video files that I happen to have there. And I can use those exactly the same way. Google Photos, same thing. If you've got things in your Google Photos collection, which is obviously attached to your Google Drive, it will look at those as well. So yeah, lots of options there. I think it's a really simple, easy tool to use. It's shareable. So if you click that share button, of course, you can click on that, give it a name, and then I won't do it because you don't need to see all that stuff. But yeah, you can share it with people and then collaborate together the same as you would if it were a Google Doc. The final thing you want to do when you're done, let's just add audio. I'll go back into my stock video. Let's choose Japan and press enter. I don't know if you can hear it in the background. My robot vacuum cleaner has just decided to come out and play, so I hope it's not too noisy. I'll click on this music collection here, and there's a whole bunch of music in here. Let's just try this dramatic Grand Japan. So I'll do that, and I'll take that and I'll just drag it down here onto the timeline underneath there. Now if I play that, right? So you can pick whatever music you like, you get the idea. And then finally, if you want to do a voiceover, like I showed you the voiceovers before, there's a voiceover button just down the bottom there where it says scripts, and you can record it to yourself. Not sure why I'm not getting the generate option here, but I can record that for myself. It won't let me do it right now because I'm using this microphone to do this call. But if I hit that record button, I could record my voiceover just directly right there. All right. That vacuum cleaner is noisy. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, that is Google Vids. There's a ton of cool stuff in there. Do have a play with it. I think it's really easy to use. I think once you start using it with your students. In the live call earlier, we had a couple of discussions about the best ways to sort of get your students to approach the filmmaking. One really good thing is what's called the 4-shot film project from my friend Jim Sill from Deploy Learning. Jim talks a lot about teaching film through 4-shot film, where you have a introductory shot, or what do they call it, a establishing shot, then using medium shots, wide shots, and close-up shots to help tell the story, and using that cinematic approach. But there's a whole bunch of ways you can teach filmmaking, probably a bit outside the scope of what we're doing here today. All right, let's go back to our slides. And I just want to wrap this Vids section up here by telling you about the Google Vids Film Festival. This is a project run by Canopy Education. They're a Google partner in the UK, but this is a global competition. All the information you can find there at www.googlevidsfilmfestival.com. And you can submit your best short films. And there's 4 different categories you can apply in. I'll let you read the website for all the details. But yeah, so good prizes to be won, and I think a lot of fun too. So go check that out. Now, let's wrap this up real quick with some what's new from Google for Education. There's a couple of new things that I think are interesting. One is if you're an AppSheet user, AppSheet is an application within, well, it's actually it's not part of Workspace directly. It's actually kind of like a secondary application within Workspace. But many people do use it. If you've got Workspace Plus, it comes with your Workspace Plus subscription. Get the words right. You can now create AppSheet apps and embed them directly in Google Sites. So AppSheet apps can have a lot of interactivity, just like regular apps, and to be able to put that inside a Google site means you can now make your Google Sites a whole lot more interactive than you were able to previously. Another new thing that's been announced is video navigation and accessibility with Google Drive video transcripts. And I do actually have an example here I can show you. So I've got this video here. I just recorded this little video. This is just me speaking. If I just open that up, you'll see that will play. Hi, this is a quick video to show you about some new accessibility. Now, there is, when you drop a video into Google Drive, if it's got speech in it, it will automatically caption that speech. You don't have to do anything. You just drop the video into Drive. It takes usually within a minute or two, and there will be closed captions included. That just happens in the background. If you turn on the CC button here and I hit play. Accessibility features that Google Drive does for video. So I'm recording this short video, just use. Right, so you can see how those captions work. Now, the big news, the new news, is that if you go to the gear wheel and turn on transcript, it will put a transcript on the side of the page there with all of the words that are spoken. So not just the bit that's coming up as the words are being said, but the whole script of everything that this person is saying in the video. And when you hit play, using the camera app on my Chromebook, you could record it on anything you like. But when you drop the video into Google Drive, see on the side there, it will automatically process that video and add the closed caption track to it. You don't have to do anything, it just happens. Now, what's really interesting is, well, obviously you can click the little, but when you drop the video into Google Drive, it opens. Jumps forward. The neat thing is, well, obviously, so the advantage of being able to sort of jump back and forward inside a video and jump to specific sections rather than scrubbing the timeline and trying to guess where that section was. A lot of advantages in doing that. Obviously, you can go and revise back and re-listen to a section you missed, or skip forward if you already know that stuff. So yeah, it's a lovely new feature inside Google Drive, and it just happens. You don't have to do anything. All right, so there's that. And then we've got gems are now available for free for education users. So gems are a feature inside Google Gemini, and they're like customized versions of Gemini, And Google makes some. So if you go into your GEMS manager, you'll see there's a whole bunch of pre-made ones from Google. There's like brainstorming and learning coaches and writing editors. And each one of these little blocks here are customized versions of Gemini that are fine-tuned to do those specific tasks. So rather than asking Gemini and having to put in all the information about, you know, a good quality prompt, a lot of that information is already baked into these gems, and you can just query the gem and it reacts as though it was that person. You can create your own gems as well. So, you know, all that stuff we say about creating a good prompt, and we've talked about this in a previous episode, where you put in your persona, your task, your format, your context, and your examples. Those things, you embed those in the gems you make and then query the gem, and it acts like that person. So like, these are some that I've made. You know, I've got a curriculum designer, I've got you know, an RPL expert. Actually, my friend Catherine did that one. You know, early years teacher. And when you ask Jessica, the early years teacher, how to do something, she'll respond like an early years teacher, right? I even made one here for Pluto, an ex-planet. You can ask that one questions about the solar system, and it will act as a disgruntled planet who's still angry that it got demoted. So lots of fun ways you can use gems as well. One of the other things that's just been announced, and that is deep research. So deep research, let me flip over here to Gemini and I'll show you what I mean. Let me go over to, I think it was this one here. Okay, so I went to Gemini the other day and I switched the model that I'm using. So by default, Gemini uses the 2.0 Flash model, and it's a pretty great standard AI model. It does a lot of things really well. There's an experimental version of it with some advanced reasoning if you want to play with that. But this deep research is the thing that's now been made freely available to Gemini for schools. If you switch to the deep research model and ask it a question, it will really research that question. Let me go back to the example that I had for you. It was the climate change. So I went to the deep research and I asked it, I said, I'm a year 12 student doing some research into climate change, and I need to look at the evidence for and against, put together a report that will help me get started and give me a good understanding of the main scientific and geopolitical issues. And what it did then was it went away and spent probably 10 minutes doing this research for me on my behalf. While it was doing that research, it read a bunch of websites, it watched some videos, it, I don't know, listened to podcasts. I don't know what it did, but it looked at tons of resources. In fact, I think it said it was 270 or something different websites that it looked at in order to put this report together. And if I scroll down here, you can see the detail in this report is pretty significant. If you're a teacher, there's all these questions going through your head right now about, I don't know if I want this to be the case. You know, this is the work that my students used to have to do manually, and now machines come along and do it. That's a whole other discussion. Let's get into that another time. But you can see that what the deep research tool is doing here is pretty comprehensive. Okay. Now it gets more interesting. If I keep scrolling down, it gets to a section down here that says these are the sources used in the report, and it lists out all the websites that it looked at in order to write this report. So it's brought this information from a number of different sources, right? Quite a lot. If I keep scrolling down, these are all the websites that it used. And if I keep scrolling down, I get to a section down the bottom here that tells me these are other sources that it read, but it didn't use it in the report. In other words, asking it to do this research for me, it literally went and read through all of those websites, hundreds of websites in 10 minutes, and then assembled the report. What a world we live in, right? And then down the bottom here where it says thoughts, unpack that, and it's going to take you through the thinking process in as much as machines can, quote, think. But this is the thinking process that it employed as it went through the research to come to the report. So it started by looking into climate change to understand the evidence for and against. Its initial focus will be on gathering information that supports climate change. Then it plans to delve into the role of greenhouse gases, right? Okay, so that's what it does. First of all, it looks at all these websites. Then it finds compelling evidence indicating a shift in our climate, right? So it goes and investigates that. And then it says something here about arguments against the consensus. I will now shift my focus to explore arguments that challenge the prevailing scientific consensus. So it's looking for arguments on both sides, and it researches these websites. And some of those look really interesting, right? So then what I find fascinating here is it's showing you its thought process. And oftentimes with an AI, that's a really opaque thing. You don't really know what it's doing in the background. So being able to see the process is interesting. Maybe if you're a student, being able to see the process may help you develop a better model sometimes for your own processes. So lots of really interesting stuff in there. So that is the deep research model that's now freely available for educators. It is still 18 plus. In Gemini, so it's probably more available for your senior students, university students, and teachers, but I think a really interesting development. And then almost finally, we've got Canvas, which was literally released yesterday. I've had a little play with it this morning. If I just go back to Gemini and show you what this one does. The thing with most, this one here, I did this one. So doing some research here on exercises to develop hip mobility, and this is the danger of getting old, right? And so it's generated a whole bunch of stuff. Now the difference in doing this is when I did this, I pressed the button at the bottom that said Canvas, right? What that does is it turns the results that Gemini is generating into a live canvas. This is editable. So if I want to change the word help to assist, I can do that. Be better if I spelled it right? Normally when Gemini generates, or any AI, when it generates the results of the prompt, that's not editable. Now, sure, you can select certain sections and you can ask them to make this longer or make this shorter or make this more casual or whatever, but it just generates again, and it's still a bit of a lucky dip as to what you get. With this is editable. You can go and change it, delete sections, change the wording, whatever. So I love the fact that it's editable. That makes it easy to sort of really target it, and it becomes more of a collaboration then between the machine and the human, which I think is an amazingly good thing. There is the ability in here to say, like, let's say I want to take this sentence. I can go to these buttons on the side here and say change the length. I can make it shorter or longer. I could go in, oops, sorry, highlight that again. I could come in here and change the tone. I could make it more formal or less formal. I think I'm going to take that sentence, if I can use my mouse, there you go. And I'm just going to make that sentence longer, right? So I'll take this little slider and I'll slide it down to make it long, right? And when I let that go, Gemini will step in over here on the left-hand side. It will redo it, and you'll notice that that section gets rewritten to be a bit longer and go into more detail, right? So I have the ability to do that. If there's anything in here that I don't understand, like let's say I'm not sure what the word stabilize means, I can say, what does this mean, right? And Gemini will step in on the side there, and I can start querying it. And so it's telling me here strengthen and support. So yeah, again, I just think that this is where AI is starting to get really interesting to me, is when it becomes this much more of a collaboration between the human and the machine, and I can work with it rather than just having it do all the work for me. All right, back to the slides, and I think that takes us to the end. 3 new things if you've got the Gemini license. One is Vids has the new AI voiceovers, and I showed you those before. Yeah, there are voiceovers in Vids, but if you've got the license, you get more sophisticated ones, I guess. If you're using Google Meet, there's now a new tool inside Google Meet for generating the backgrounds. So you can go in there, you can see you get a bunch of options from bookshelves and office spaces and all sorts of things that will generate that automatically for you with the click of a button. And finally, in Google Docs, if you have the Gemini add-in, if you've got a Google Doc that's a long doc, there's now a building block to create an AI summary at the top of the page. So yeah, nice little addition if you've got that license. All of our previous webinars are recorded. This one, like second time lucky, and they go onto our YouTube channel there at, well, the short link there is bit.ly/LWG_rewatch. Please, as I said, if you like what we're doing, please hit the subscribe button. And everyone loves a like, right? But we do have those as a YouTube playlist. If you've subscribed to these, I'll send out a note to you at the end of every one with links to all that stuff. If you'd like a PD certificate for attending or listening to this webinar, you can get one there at bit.ly/GFE certificate, or scan the code and it will create a form for you. And if you are watching this video and if you've enjoyed it or not enjoyed it, or don't have any particular strong feelings one way or the other, we really appreciate your feedback. It really, really, really helps. So yeah, please, if you've watched the video this far, scan the code, follow the link, and just that quick survey of feedback would be super useful. So thanks very much. If you've got any questions, fire them off. There's links there to the New South Wales DOE, Victoria DT, and South Australian DFE. If you work in any of those systems and you have specific questions, because sometimes those systems deploy things in their own unique ways, so you can fire off the questions to those guys. Otherwise, it's been great having you, and we'll talk to you again next month. See you later. Thanks, guys.